2005 was the year of the gun. Ever since then, there has been an increase in reported homicides. Enough.
Unnecessary
gangs,
stupidity,
the youth and guns,
money,
suffering,
aggression,
guns,
jealousy,
harm, gangs, snitching,
violent corruption,
we're scared of police,
bullied at school,
fights, like fist fights,
people bleeding, people screaming and everything, people running all over the place.
an argument-based situation.
racial differences,
Sometimes out of anger to prove a point.
I think it's the lack of education, ignorance,
Fear is a big one.
Acting on emotions.
bad things.
I've witnessed a lot of that. I've witnessed a lot of fights, a lot of people getting hurt really bad. My experiences, like I've lost a lot of friends because of gang violence. People have been shot. I lost my best friend to gang violence. He was sliced in the head with an axe, stabbed about 13 times because he got rushed. So I've seen friends go to jail for life, for murder and stuff like that. So I've experienced a lot with gang violence and violence in general.
I can say for sure I have. Everyone has been a victim of violence unless you live by yourself, right? But even living by yourself, you can be a victim of violence. Like you could inflict violence on yourself. So yeah, I've been a victim of violence a lot. Like every time you walk through society, there's always violence.
Don't just speak about RISE, don't just speak about Project Peace and the great initiatives that it could do and what it could possibly do for you. Go out there, start knocking on doors, start inviting you in. If you see somebody around you that you feel is not on the right path.
More programs in our neighborhoods, like in our direct neighborhoods, not programs around the neighborhoods or programs where kids from the neighborhoods can go to other places and go to the programs. I think like you need to put more programs in the priority neighborhoods, like working out of the neighborhoods, like social workers or youth workers, people that work there. I know there are places in priority neighborhoods that people work directly out of, but I think you need to have more programs in those neighborhoods because a lot of kids that live in priority neighborhoods can't really leave their neighborhood to go and hang out anywhere. So like say kids from Malvern can't really leave Malvern to go somewhere else to go hang out. Say kids from like Jane and Finch can't really leave Jane and Finch area and go somewhere else for programs.
I talk with lots of youths and they're telling me that I'm listening. They're telling me that some guys who are controlling these youth and they're pushing the things in their head, nothing going to happen. They listen, deal with the wrong stuff, nothing will happen to you. You're going to come out soon from jail. So this is a wrong philosophy they have in their head. So we have to, together we can deal with that issues, and we have to deal with that issues. Talk with youth properly and tell them, no, you have to go for studies. It's better than the criminal life and wrong lives.
Most of it is about like drugs and stuff like that, because there's a lot of drugs in this area that I live in. So then when people sell drugs and then other people don't pay, the other people come and shoot them or whatever, and then
Because normally it's between two different sides trying to fight against their own opinion.
I've witnessed gang violence, like 45 people beating up like 3 guys, and I thought it was scary because I knew all 3 of the guys who got beat up, and then I went and visited them in the hospital, and then they were like all bloody and stuff.
There's people being afraid, people getting hurt, and not being safe to sort of go out in the community, and pain as being like the main source of the fear, where when violence happens to them, they obviously get hurt and they're forced to stay away from areas they try to be in with like friends or in the community.
Show me how smart you are. Don't show me how much money you have, how much people you killed, or how much people you killed, It's all about here,
Most of it's been like bullying or just aggression. Like people coming up and being needlessly angry at other people, like pushing them, shoving them, and causing like scenes like the subway.
From what I'm hearing, there has been shootings and stabbings in my community. Ellesmere.
I think most youth have in mind today that are going through certain struggles and certain problems, they're only doing stuff and have that state of mind where they're only living for today. They don't have their mindset on what's happening in the future. They sit uncomfortable with maybe your family or whatever, maybe just to yourself. But I don't think it's right to always live and you always got to look over your shoulder, or you always have to have your back against the wall. So
because they just don't know better, man. I think if they knew better, they might do better. I like that. If they knew better, they'll do better,
I think it's just a revolving act that started like however many years ago in everyone's neighborhood, and it's their families were involved in the same stuff when they were young, and now they just feel that they don't even feel that they need to carry on a cycle, but they don't know how to get out of it because they don't have the drive or initiative. They don't have people supporting them, and young people need support in order for them to better themselves.
Unnecessary things going on, people taking things the wrong way, and just, I don't know, it's all gotta stop. Because coming from Scarborough and just having to come here and then just worrying about the same stuff, it's not really worth it. I shouldn't have to worry about my life being in danger.
I think it's just about people trying to put on like this whole facade of like being tough and like respect, but they find it in the wrong places. So they think that if they use physical violence, they can kind of like emanate a feeling of hostility and try and like make other people inferior to themselves.
Okay, so it's like about power and stuff like that. Okay, what do you think?
And maybe a little bit about boredom too. They just don't really have much to do with their time, so they get involved with like
wrong things.
Yeah, wrong things, gangs, like drug dealing, whatever, and it leads to violence.
Say they're with their friends, who they hang around with. How their parents raise them, where they live, like in their community, what they're surrounded by, and what they feed off of.
But it's more of the hip hop and the rap music generation coming in.
So you think it's the hip hop that's affecting the youth, causing them to turn?
Well, the image that rappers have developed of themselves being gangsters and wants everyone else to follow what they do.
What causes kids to turn to violence? I don't know, man. A lot of things, dude. That's a tough question. I mean, there are images, there are imagery in the media and stuff that people buy into, and they buy into pop culture. Whatever kind of makes it into the media is kind of reflects pop culture. At the end of the day, it's just entertainment. Dr. Dre says it on this soundtrack called The Show. This movie called The Show, and just a little interlude. He's like, "Man, this is like our jobs. We don't actually go out in the street and kill people, even if we say it on the record. It's just entertainment."
That there's other ways to deal with problems. So instead of telling somebody what to do, I kind of lead by example.
Because they're not properly raised as children, and maybe they watch too many shows on TV that might influence them to become violent. And so that part of the problem is the parenting.
Bullying, harassment that could lead into just situations where 20 people would want to attack one guy over he said, she said.
And you control your own aggression, control your own aggression, taking it, keeping it in your own neighborhood, try and keep what safe.
I think that's totally ridiculous, violence over girls, plenty of fish in the sea. That's what they say, violence over who can rap better. None of them can rap, but bare nonsense, who has better shoes, or you buy the same shoes as me, let's fight.
Unfortunately, being a police officer here in Toronto, I've witnessed all kinds of forms of violence amongst the youth on each other, whether it's the use of weapons, bullying, cyberbullying, various forms of violence.
I think it's mostly not having enough community resources where they don't have enough activities to take up their time, so they're just wandering around, not really doing anything productive or not doing anything they enjoy, and they sort of wander around and they see easy ways to get money or to get what they want.
TV, media, music, parents also, the parents aren't having a strong enough influence on them.
No trust at all whatsoever. I think with law enforcement, it's just they'll tell you certain things, but then they'll do another thing, they're not out there to, for me, personal experience, they're not out there to help us. They're out there to target us. So they'll see a bunch of people standing on the corner on the block and then charge up everybody, and then everybody starts getting criminal. Even kids that aren't a part of the gang, they just came out, they live in the neighborhood, they can't come out to hang out with their friends. The cops come in, some of the people have drugs on them, whatever have on them, they charge everybody. So then that starts putting that kid in the cycle, puts him in the system. So he goes out, and then he maybe gets put on house arrest. He can't stay, he's 14 years old, summertime, doesn't want to be at home all the time, comes out of his house even though he's on house arrest. The cops scoop him up because now they know him in the neighborhood. They know him, I charged you, you're on house arrest. Now he has a failure to comply, now he has a criminal record.
Young people tend to not like the law, mostly because the way we're looked at. Often when things go wrong, it's the youth, young people are the first person who are suspects, who are harassed. Well, from my experience, I can't say all the time. So I don't think between young people and the law enforcement, there's not a good relationship. We don't trust them, generally. We normally feel like they're all out there to get us.
It's probably not good. I don't know if it's ever been good. Even in 1910. I don't know if, I don't know, man. I think if we lived in the suburbs, a really small town, we would have a different vantage point, because the community would feel a little tighter, and everybody would know one another. But in a big city, in a metropolis, that's almost impossible, unless in your community you had everybody's really tight knit. If you lived at Victoria VP and Shepherd, or if you lived at St. Clair and Dufferin, or Bathurst and King, if those communities are really tight, then you might you might have a better relationship. I think it depends on the community, but I don't think it's good. There's always been kind of a rocky kind of relationship between law enforcement and kids. I don't know why. Maybe it's just kids are rebellious. I was 12, I was 15 once, and I didn't know any police officers. I didn't have any in my family, so I could never get past the uniform and see them as a person, not just what they do.
And it's important to be able to reach out and be proactive with our activities. Sometimes that doesn't always work. That we have to enforce enforce laws, but if we can be proactive and teach kids where they may not be getting the life lessons they perhaps should have from elsewhere, but if they're getting them from us, that's great, as long as they're getting them.
I think young people and police officers, there is a gap, there is a bridge. It's something that different agencies and groups and both parties have to work on. And it's, I think there's stereotypes and there's misunderstandings, and I think both parties unfortunately sometimes play off of those.
I think that youth are scared of police and they don't like them because they just, because sometimes police, they like ask like bad questions, stuff like that, and make people feel bad and scared.
The last time I saw the police was just like, they were throwing this guy down. He was drunk out of his mind, and like they tackled him, and like I just felt like, I know they're trying to do a good job, but I feel like they forget that these kids are still like kids.
I'm not into it with the police, but like, yo, when I see them, it's whatever, because I know, see, at the end of the day, they're watching out for my mom's when she's on the street. If my mom's is passing her in her whip and something could happen to her, they're on that.
They're trying to bring justice to the community. I think you think that police are trying to run basically everything, and I think it's by what we see in movies and what we see on TV, because they paint a whole different picture to what police actually do.
There's just like hatred towards them when they should be happy that they're protecting us.
I think it's influenced by rap music, you know? Popular culture, the media, they just don't understand what snitching is. Because snitching is, you know, you get caught by the police, then you tell on your friend so you can get out and put your friend in the bin, you know? And that's what the real snitching is. And there's kids these days, they think that snitching is, you know, just police ask you, oh, did you see whatever happened? They think they're a snitch if they say, you know, cooperation with the police, you know. Rappers like Cameron and 50 Cent and them, they're just like polluting the kids' minds, you know. The mind is a terrible thing to waste to pollute, and that's what's happening.
The statement is kind of bogus, because if it relates to you, you'd want someone to go get help or tell the police or tell someone that could help you. But then when it comes to someone else's situation, say, oh, don't snitch, that's a bad thing to do, oh, you're gonna be called this, you're gonna be that.
I will say this one thing, the truth will get out whether you say it or whether you don't. And the truth doesn't need defense, because if it's the truth, as I said before, it'll come out one way or the other. So if you want to feel like you don't need to tell the truth, then you don't need to tell the truth. It'll be found out one way or another. And if you lie, then same way it'll be found out one way or the other.
I think that it's not no snitching, it's just like for things that are pointless that you don't need to talk about, like, or like tell people about, like other people's business stuff, you don't need to talk about. That's snitching. But like when it comes to like someone's life, then someone needs to, yeah, you have to tell somebody. And I don't think it's considered snitching if it's in that case or whatever.
It's a life or death matter, but you know what? It starts with small issues such as bullying, and if you don't say something or speak out, how is something to help you, right? So another controversial thing, depends on the situation, but there are certain ways you can deal with it other than just coming out and snitching, as you would say.
I really don't think it's, like, again, it's unnecessary also, because, like, okay, if suppose something happens to someone close to you, and you know something happened, you're gonna tell, you're gonna say something, okay? And just because it's another person and that doesn't really have anything to do with you, but still, they're still getting affected by their family, and someone else is getting affected by that, and you should feel some sympathy for them and do something about it.
Today, less than 24 hours after, or about 24 hours after Carabana, we had a young man who was stabbed in his stomach. You know, fingers crossed he'll be surviving. We had another older gentleman who was stabbed in his head, and another guy who was shot. Hopefully they'll all survive. It sounds like they will, but we're not. It seems like they were related to Carabana. Now we are going to a Taste of the Danforth Festival next weekend, and that's a slightly different cultural festival, but still within the city of Toronto. We're going to see what the police presence is going to be like there. Will it be the same? Will it be more? Will it be less? And we'll ask some people how they feel about that. The first thing that came to my mind when we heard about the young guy who got stabbed was like, was it one of the guys from our area? Is he going to be all right? And when I found out that he wasn't from our area, like, although it seems bad, like, I felt a sigh of relief, but it's good that he's going to be safe. Looks like he's going to survive. But you know, it really puts perspective what we're doing here in this documentary, and we're definitely going to go into full gear now and find out a little bit more about what these young people have to say, because they're saying that we're fighting a war on youth violence, but we're not fighting with soldiers. We're fighting with changing mentalities and changing attitudes. That's how we're fighting this war. But some people are fighting it as if they were soldiers, and we can't have young people thinking they're soldiers, because what are soldiers for? They live, they die, right? They go.
Oh, but there is, baby, and he's keeping me alive. Ha ha! Yeah. RTB. And T Fresh. Yeah, and Q Rich. Thanks. Big Blacks, homie. I still hear those voices over violence, even though everyone speaks in silence. I keep hearing those voices over violence, so keep it up high and break that silence. The voices over violence. So tell them. The voices over violence. So tell them. So tell them. So keep it coming, man. Let's go. That silence. Every day it's the same when I open my eyes. Lift my hand over the smoke, reaching onto the sky. Sure, confusion fills my face as I search for replies to what the heck is going on in this world and why. Ignorance is in the mind, making all of us suffer. One moves to walk by, hate overtakes the lovers. Thoughts of hearing shots, tears the faces of mothers. Why can't we all just get along and accept each other? What's the deal with this misery? All of it's a conspiracy. Allow me to speak a little clearer if you ain't hearing me. Forget the nonsense of silence in your voice. Learn your rights of being you, which means you have a choice. I don't wanna keep hearing all these shots in my ears, watching my own cat suffer from living in fear. So tell me what it's gonna be, cause you have a choice. Mine to never let a hater try to silence my voice.
We were talking a little bit about a young person, about 15 years of age, who was stabbed on Carabana Saturday, actually. And I had made the comment that when I looked into it, I felt okay that it wasn't a young person that I knew, and I felt bad that I had like a sense of relief. But it came to my attention since then that the guy who got stabbed was a student at Cedarbrae, which is really close to all of the documentary film staff. So we're kind of feeling it a little bit more since we've talked to some people who've been really close to the young person who was stabbed, and we kind of feel a little bit more close to home.
That's surprising to me. You know, me and it was my first year being actually there and just seeing the whole bunch of different cultures just coming together, the unity that was there. It seemed like everybody's having a good time, you know, partying. And as we were walking around, we realized that there was a lot of police. Like, you know, we saw them walking around. We saw them in the little marine stuff. Yeah, and you know, it just seemed like, what was all the need for that, you know? Like, everybody's just supposed to have a great time, you know? Don't worry about getting shot or getting stabbed or anything, and then just to hear about it, it's surprising, man.
I was at Carabana chilling, enjoying myself, you know, with the homies. Posted up, I was turning around looking for a watch, and all of a sudden I hear shots ringing out. I see people laid out on the floor, people bleeding, people screaming and everything, people running all over the place. It could be my little kin right there too, you know what I mean? So that kind of hit me, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, so that was a point in my life where I witnessed some violence, like, you know what I'm saying?
So, you know, as long as you know you get with the good and you stay away from the bad, I think you can avoid everything. And things that happen in the summertime, they're all avoidable, but you know, it's like sometimes things happen and there's nothing you can do about it.
Oh my God.
So, I don't know, man, just, you know, get into some programs, you know, go play basketball, like, you know, whatever you do to stay out of the neighborhood and keep you away from certain people, go do that, go play basketball, go join summer leagues. As long as there's more programs, then I think less things will happen. Keep people occupied, and then you don't go find things to do, because most of the time when you go find something to do, it's always something negative you end up doing. Well, that's how I look at it.
Your perception has to change. Your friend isn't holding whatever he's holding to help you out. He's gonna help himself out first.
I'm not on the strip right now, you know what I'm saying? That's gonna change though. I'm gonna go back to my own life, but if I do something productive with my time, it'll kind of lead me on a different path. So when I look back, I'll be like, I'm already so far here, why even go to the root of violence or something like that?
It just encourages more violence to occur, because when nobody's, you know, when witnesses aren't coming forward and saying, you know, this is what happened, this is who was involved in it, what is it doing in the long run? Everybody feels the need to, you know, be a gangster now and not, oh, I'm not gonna snitch. And what does that do? That's not solving anything.
I think that the kids, they just don't, they're missing the true definition of snitching. You understand? Yeah. Like, what they think snitching is having a conversation with the police, saying anything to the police, right? But snitching is like when you're informing the police to get yourself out of something like that, you're putting someone else in that situation just so you can get out of it. That's snitching. But like helping out your community, keeping your community safe, that's not snitching.
People could be looking at me or listening to my answer now and thinking, oh, you're a snitch this, you're a snitch that, but once your mom gets shot when she's walking down the street, or she gets robbed or she gets raped, or once your little sister gets raped and nobody comes forward and says, this is a man who raped my little sister, then see how much you're working off not snitching.
I know a program called RISE. Basically what they do is they get us, youth as myself, get youth like myself together from different descents, and basically what they do is they try and prevent things from happening, and if we are caught in a situation, they'll do their best to help us get out of it. And what they also do is at lunchtime or anything, they're always open, so if you want somewhere to hang out, there's always there. It's like another home.
I think RISE helps out the youth a lot because it's in the school, so people are coming there, and even if they come during time that they're not supposed to, it's still they're getting a positive vibe, so they're still learning things that they about violence and how to prevent it and stuff like that. So eventually it will tap in and they'll start to understand okay, this is not good, I shouldn't even get myself involved with these kind of things, and I think RISE is a good way to outreach to them and stuff like that.
Yeah, I got a lot of experience with programs because I grew up, going through a lot of things. So East Metros for one, when I got expelled from school, they took me in, gave me a mentor, whatever, helped me out through my little certain situations. I say the Students Commission because I can't go anywhere and get a job, because of my past history or because I ain't got no high school education. See, never made it to that. So I like how Students Commission will employ a man like me and just not take me for my coat, but take me for what's inside.
As I feel like violence isn't the answer to the situation or to the problems that you have, where if you approach it in a violent way, yeah, you'll get results, but people won't respect you afterwards for it. If you want to have continuing results, then to avoid violence, to respect other people, to help them, then you won't need violence and you won't be aggressed against. I feel like a lot of violence is caused just because you're aggressing and you're being violent towards other people.
I think violence is a part of society. Regardless of how much change you make, it's always going to be there. I think the best we can do is decrease it. But what I would say to the youth, I'm not going to try to preach to them, say drugs are bad, don't sell drugs, don't do drugs, don't commit this, don't do that, don't carry guns, because I'm not here to preach. When people used to preach to me, I never really listened. I had to go through that experience to really realize, what I was doing. And it took me a while to really realize because nobody was there to tell me, kick me, and just tell me, what you're doing is messed up, what you're doing is wrong. So to the kids, I just want to say, you guys are going to probably mess up once or twice in your life. You guys are going to have to fall before you pick yourself up back up. But people like me, Saleem, youth outreach workers, we're always there to help you pick up the piece of the puzzle. I didn't have anybody to help me pick up the piece of the puzzle. I did it myself, and it took me a while. So I want to be there to help you guys pick up the piece of your puzzle when you do make that mistake, if you make that mistake, hoping you don't. But in reality, a lot of kids are going to make mistakes like that. That's just how life is.
The one I'm with right now is VIP, giving them media equipment, giving them, better experience, and, keeping their mind positive. There's places like STEPS, there's RISE, It's not focused on violence, but the kids that are involved in it, they're in a better place than where
They engage everyone. They reach out into the entire community. There isn't necessarily a set criteria for a young person to participate and take part in, and no matter where you live or how sheltered you think you are or may not be, everyone unfortunately witnesses violence, hears violence, and sees violence.
The information that's given to youth, that they're both youth-led, and they have a lot of young people in the programs.
I'm there all the time, so they have good methods, they have good techniques in keeping kids off the streets, you know. It's like, yeah, they keep them busy and fun at the same time.
And some people are successful. Some people change their lives. I mean, the young fellas in this RISE program, they're definitely those cats. And I just think education is important. I mean, your guys' program is awesome because, you know, cats like to me are volunteering their time to you know, talk about issues and have discussions and talk about feelings and all that kind of stuff, and just getting educating themselves on the problems and finding ways to avoid them. So I think education is big.
I rise above violence. Yeah, 'cause I'm not an animal, man. I want to see people around me do better, you know? Not just me doing good. I want to see people around me doing good too.
We love the Toronto FC and we rise above violence.
My name is Sharika Harris, aka Stars, aka Sprinkles, and I rise above violence.
Olika Daly, I rise above violence. Peace.
My name is Milena Daly, and I rise above violence.
My name is Joel Douglas, and I rise above violence.
My name is Rob McDonald, and I rise above violence.
My name is Abel Zawaldi, and I rise above violence.
I rise above violence by staying positive.
My name is Bagheera Raichada. I rise above violence.
Jermaine Callahan, and I rise above violence.
I rise above violence always.
My name is Sean, and I rise because...
My name is Kadeem Robin, and I rise above violence.
I rise above violence.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are on the set at the Score Television Network here in downtown Toronto. I'm the man Cabby, host of several shows here at the Score. Cabby in the Street, Cabby Unlimited, Cabby All-Stars, that's what I do. I'm here with my people from RISE, and this conversation that you've heard or you will hear is exclusive. It's just for you guys, and it's certified. I'm Cabby, and I rise above violence. Peace. And we rise above violence. Peace.
I want to make a change. I want to see it different. I don't want 20 years from now, my kids, if I have any kids, you know, going through the same thing, being in those situations. I just want to see a change.
My name is Gladys, and I rise above violence.
My name is Sarah. My name is Emma, and we rise above violence.
Yeah, you don't know what it is. It's J. Cole, and we're rising above violence. Hold it down.
I rise above violence by making positive changes.
I rise above violence by walking away.
My name is Richard Nesbitt, and I rise above violence.
My name is Taro S. Shirley, and you better believe that I rise above violence. And so
the only way for this violence to end is if we all come together, my friend. Now if you see them going crazy, walk up to and tell them, rise above. Giving people cuts and bruises, tell them, rise above. You see them doing something wrong, tell them, rise above. If bad things are going on, just rise above. Now rise above, rise above. It's time to stop and make it right. Rise above, rise above. It's time to live a better life. Rise above, rise above. It's time to change up all the wrongs and correct what's really going on.
First day at RISE, I was known as Too Rich. You knew the nickname, people knew I was rich. Girls tried to flirt with me, couldn't let it happen. When I started rapping, people started laughing. All I wore was black and white. My pants are never tight, my pants low, I might. Man, I bark it, but passion for fashion. Never like flashing, never like photos. The girls kept asking. Keep in mind, I go crazy on beats like this. Crump like Chris Brown and start swinging my fist. Mostly held in everything that wasn't RISE. Was in every contest, but I never won a prize. Yes,
okay,
rich, I'm on those tips. I'm on my grind, never ever slip. RTBT fresh and blacks. And put your hands up, now give thanks.
Now if you see them going crazy, walk up to and tell them, rise above. Giving people cuts and bruises, tell them, rise above. You see them doing something wrong, tell them, rise above. If bad things are going on, just rise above. Now rise above, rise above. It's time to stop and make it right. Rise above, rise above. It's time to live a better life. Rise above, rise above. It's time to change up all the wrongs and correct what's been really going on. Rise above. It's about time we took a look at the lives of the victims of the things that we see all the time. People still getting bullied and it's got out of hand. And even once a life is taken, we still don't understand. 85% of incidents have people who watch, yet to go and save a life, no one dares take a shot. Instead they stand by and observe the victims getting burned by some haters who give them things they know they don't deserve. Repeated intentional cruelty every time. The sum up of all the words recited in rhyme. Now write it down in the line.
That worked out. That was nice.